Wow, that's a great intro. Thank you, producer Sarah. I had to cover up my ears there. So the Greater Good is a podcast I created a couple of years ago, and I've had the real privilege of inviting people onto this show that, in my opinion, my personal opinion, fortunately, my foundation supports my opinion. I've been able to bring some really impressive, interesting people, and we've had a lot of fun. We've provide a lot of good information. And today is absolutely no exception with Chairman Cody Martinez from the Sycuan Band of Combahee Indians here in San Diego County. Hi, Cody. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Good to see you too. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool that you're here because your tribe, you're kind of like the leaders. You're the A team here in San Diego County in terms of your community involvement. Your magnificent, gorgeous casino and hotel. Your golf course, the U.S. Grand Hotel, all the wonderful things you've done with that historic building and whatnot. So, I mean, your name, your casino and Sycuan, the name is plastered all over this county. I mean, congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. We've worked hard. 2023 will be the 40th anniversary of Sycuan Casino since 1983, starting as a high stakes bingo hall. And I'm very proud to be leading an organization, leading a tribal government that has been able to build on good governance consistently over that time. And so when it comes to government, consistency, staying the course, and keeping true to your community partners and your word, it goes a long way. And so I think that's what's helped Sycuan be so successful over this time.
Well, speaking of success, congratulations. You were just recently reelected another term as chairperson for Sycuan. And is that a 3-year, 4-year? What is that?
They are 4-year terms here at Sycuan. We do elections for all 7 of our council members. We have a 7-member council that's comprised of a chairperson, a vice chairperson, a secretary, a treasurer, and then 3 council member seats. And this is my 3rd term. We don't have term limits. And so, I just keep on. I'm very honored and proud that my tribe has supported me to lead the tribe for another 4 years. And so my attitude is to make the best of it. So 4 years goes by very quickly. And so we have to stay on top of our game and just have a progressive agenda. And as a chairman, I actually don't vote technically. So I have to try to just lead and get the team to come around and try to have a unified voice. It's not always 100% unified, but we do believe in democracy and supporting each other. So we have 4 new council members on our council this term, and it's always good to have new energy. And so I'm very excited for the new energy that we have in our tribal office.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Well, you must be doing something right if you're going into your 3rd term. So if my math is correct, that would be 12 years in total, and who knows what happens after that, which is remarkable. I think I read somewhere that you were like the youngest chairman in the county in terms of managing one of the tribes. Is that accurate?
When I won the tribal election in 2014, I was 30. I had just turned 33, and so I turned 34 the following year. At that time, I was the youngest in the country, actually.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, there was at that time there was another governor of a pueblo in New Mexico who was a little bit older, but yeah, I think I had beat him by a year or 2.
So was there a moment in your life when you just said, my tribe's really important to me, and I want to take over? Did you have like a flash?
I had a realization when I was probably 10 years old or younger that I was, that tribal membership in the reservation was a very unique place, and I was very eager to learn about the foundation of that authority to govern ourselves.
Yeah.
With the success of the casino, we were able to really bring back a lot of cultural programs and other things that we just didn't have the money to do before. And so there's just been all sorts of cultural revitalization, focus on business, focus on community, not just our reservation community, but the greater San Diego community. So I've always known since I was very young that it's something that I wanted to do. I had a unique opportunity, and I just kept my focus on wanting
That's an amazing
to
story.
be
Because
on the
you,
tribal council.
you mentioned to me you have a couple of teenage boys, and we don't need to go into that necessarily, but to have that passion at such a young age is such a gift. I mean, people approach me regularly because of the work we do and my life's experience. What should I do? How should I, position myself in my career? And my answer is always the same: find the thing that you're passionate about, irrespective of all other factors, and try and make that work.
Yeah,
Because
I
if you
agree.
look, and you're that guy. So, what a pleasure to know. It's an honor to find someone who's done that. On the other hand, I bounced all over the place. I had a lot of passions, so sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But mostly, I've had a very eventful, exciting life. I have a lot of what they call rocking chair memories of things that I've accomplished. But yeah, how great. So can you clarify for me what's the difference between a tribe and a band?
Well, in this context, I guess the easiest way I could put it is the Kumeyaay tribe is the tribe. It's the tribe of Kumeyaay. There's 13 bands of the Kumeyaay tribe
Okay.
on the north side of the U.S. Mexico border. The Kumeyaay Nation, the Kumeyaay indigenous people, also went about 60 miles approximately into Baja California, and they do have 5 or 6 communities there in Baja. But that's why we are 13 bands of the Kumeyaay tribe or the Kumeyaay Nation. But we use the term really interchangeably nowadays, and
Okay.
so we don't get technical about it. We understand what people mean when they, the Sycuan tribe or the Sycuan band.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be incorrect. I'm kind of a person
We
like
used to
to.
joke when I was younger, me and my cousins and friends, and we used to say we were in like a rock band, like the Sycuan band. So it was something that people would like, what is that? So,
But were you? Did you play an instrument?
no, I never did, but we
No.
would just make a joke about, because when people would read if we had a clothing with a logo or something.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Well, I was in a band when I was in high school. I was terrible, just absolutely terrible. I was a rhythm guitarist, and I think the only reason that they let me stay there is because we practice in my house's garage. So, but in terms of my playing ability, it was pretty rotten. Anyway,
Yeah, I am much better at listening to music than making music myself. So
so that's exciting. So your job is pretty profound in terms of the number of employees you've got at the hotel and casino. That's like several thousand people,
yes,
and then you've got how many members in your band?
we're just
Not
over
that many.
300 tribal members, and that's approximately 50-50 adults and minors. So Sycuan has comparatively to some of the other bands or other reservations, our general population is a little bit younger. We have a very big demographic under 35.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got a lot to plan for, because we're gonna, we've got in 20 years our numbers will increase significantly of those that are turning 18.
How
So yeah,
exciting!
300 members, and I think we are approximately 2,400, 2,500 total team members between the tribal government, the casino, and Singing Hills Golf Resort. And then, of course, we've been able to make investments off the reservation through the Sycuan Tribal Economic Development Corporation,
Mm-hmm.
which is a Section 17 federally chartered corporation. That's the vehicle that we've invested, acquired the U.S. grant, the National City Marina Gateway property, and some other investments that the tribe has made.
That's outstanding. It's always remarkable. You walk around anywhere in Southern California, and essentially that was at one point your land. And people they seem to forget that so easily because after they took it from you, it really makes me feel good when I see the success of all these Indian nations across the nation. That they've taken advantage of that remarkable piece within the treaties where you can create these revenue opportunities, and it's heartwarming to see that there is payback you know?
No, it is. I mean, Sycuan, because of its geographical location, being one of the closest bands here or tribes in San Diego,
Mhm.
closest to the urban areas, El Cajon, and then down to downtown San Diego. Um, 17 reservations in San Diego County. That's the most in any county line in the United States.
Right.
And only 10 of those 17 have gaming facilities of varying sizes. So you got 7 tribes that are still, you go to the reservations and you would probably not see too much dramatic change from decades ago. So they still have major needs for infrastructure and just everything. And so we continue to work with the other tribes and other bands of the Kumeyaay Nation just to see what we can do to help support them, when it comes to community events, sporting events, of course, cultural events. So in the last 20 years, we've been able to make so many more inroads and progress in bringing the bands together
Mhm.
to share culture and tradition. So there's definitely more of a opportunity for the youth to meet other children from other bands and
Mhm.
interact with them compared to, let's say, the 1990s when I was, a teenager. And so
Right. Yeah.
things have improved dramatically. And so we just want to continue to keep that going.
So there's a real sense of community and collaboration throughout all of the 17 bands, which in itself is pretty remarkable. I mean, of course, you know, decades and decades ago, that was the norm, I suppose. But yeah, so not only do you support them from that standpoint, but I understand that you also fund a lot of their initiatives to essentially give them you know a hand up as opposed to a handout.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. And it goes year round. So Saquon is very proud of its community support, charitable contributions that we do, and we make sure that Native American and specifically Kumeyaay are a big part of that effort.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So I'm just full disclosure, my foundation, San Diego Harbor Police Foundation, was the recipient of funding from Sycuan Band just recently in the last couple of weeks for the work that we do in human trafficking. And, I want to thank you very much for that. But I was just one out of how many 30 various organizations that were present for that. So you guys,
Yes.
you gave away a lot of money to a lot of really worthwhile organizations, and yeah, you really should be commended for that.
Thank you. Yes, this last year I think it was north of 175,000 we did in the month of December for what we call our annual gift giving ceremony, which is a selection of like you said, over 30, 40 nonprofits and community organizations in San Diego that are just doing great things. Anything from elder support for elderly. You got veteran support. You've got animals. You've got human trafficking. I specifically donated to an East County transitional living center that is doing a lot of great work trying to keep people that are on the brink of homelessness
Mhm.
from going over that cliff into the abyss of homelessness. And I think we see it every day. I was just actually driving downtown yesterday and it was raining, and it
Yeah.
really stayed on my mind how many people we have living on the streets
It,
in
it's
downtown San Diego.
it's
And
frightening.
so,
It really is. It's no longer just an occasional thing. It's the norm, and that, really, with few exceptions, you see people in these tents or camping out in some manner, and those are just the ones that are downtown. They're
it's all over the county, even here in
yeah,
the rural areas, off of Tehisa corridor between El Cajon and Alpine. Yeah, there's just lots of transient activity that is steadily increased over the last couple of years. We find areas of people illegally camping and just setting up shop in some of the rural areas
yeah,
here. And
yeah,
so, safety of the community, aside from operating a casino, it's just very important to us.
yeah, as it should be. And if you really want to be effective from a community outreach standpoint, as much as government has its role in the world, if you really want to get things done, it requires organizations, nonprofits, people like Sequam, and the other tribes throughout San Diego County and elsewhere that actually make things happen, just like what you did the other day with your annual event. I mean, each one of those recipients, that money then translates to the ability to impact a person, and that's really what it takes. Because unfortunately, government gets a little bit too unwieldy, way too cumbersome to actually get stuff done. So, yeah, thank you again. It's really great. So,
you're welcome. Thank you.
oh yeah, my pleasure. Oh my gosh. So you're a busy guy. You've got a couple of young boys and a family and all of that. So is there something that you like to do that you're passionate about, other than putting in 12-hour days at Sycuan?
Well, so the role of a chairman, it's so entwined with not just business but community. So there's always something usually going on, even after hours and the weekend. So I love doing tribal events, community events, anything I can. Sycuan takes up a lot of my time. Then my 14-year-old son plays club basketball. He also plays basketball for his junior high school and different sports, intertribal sports. So that takes up some time. And when I get free time besides that, I just like to, spend time with family and friends. I go out to the Colorado River, Martinez Lake
Oh
specifically.
yeah,
And I like to
funny
spend a
name.
lot of time out there year round, just being outdoors, either on a boat or in some off-road vehicles. And just, it's close enough. So it's not too much of a trip out there, only a few hours, but
Yeah.
I like to get away and disconnect, but then recharge the battery so I can come right back to the role I have. And so, and then, I mean, there's just always so many great things going on in San Diego and or Indian country. I love traveling to other reservations throughout the state and through the country.
Hmm.
So there's definitely always something going on. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Martinez Lake, is there a connection?
No, there's not. But I guess it was named historically after some families of Hispanic, origin that farmed that area, which is about half an hour northwest of Yuma, Arizona. And
Yeah.
so, no, it's just a beautiful place.
So I don't want to brag, but my family has a dam and a road named after it up in Napa or Sonoma County. So, I have bragging rights on a road somewhere.
Well, there you go.
That's all it takes, right? Yeah, the problem is all of my relatives, every time they go up there, they steal the sign that says Wohler Road. And then then the county has to go out and put another sign up and, send me a bill, So,
Yeah, I don't want to take the Martinez Lake sign. I don't want to be
no.
on the most wanted of Yuma County.
Sarah's over here cracking up. I've been to a couple of really great events out at the casino. The teachers program, which was amazing. Those IQ podcast people, they do just a phenomenal job of putting that on together, and that's where I got to meet your nominee, Stanley Rodriguez,
Yeah.
Dr. Rodriguez, who I had on my show just a couple of weeks ago, and I was just fascinated by his grasp of the history perspective and his relativity in the world in terms of getting the word back out about what it is to be an American Native Indian in America, and it's just it's so profoundly important for that to get out as much as possible. So you said brief early on something about your cultural involvement with Sycuan has gone is exponentially improved over the years. So what is it that all about?
Well, today we have a cultural resource center that has a museum and has a library, and then also they have a curriculum where they interact with our education and rec center departments. So year round, and especially during the summer months, there's a lot of enrichment and immersion in Kumeyaay culture and language.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, these are all programs that we've been able to develop with tribal government gaming revenues. So there's and other bands and other tribes have similar programs, and so you really got to try to catch the children at a young age and the infant
Right.
toddler ages and start to get them familiar with, their cultural identity. And a lot of, the current younger infant toddlers are of mixed blood, and so you want them to recognize a lot of who they are.
Sure.
But we definitely have a program in place that we like, that's K through 12 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And cultural enrichment is a bedrock and a foundation of that programming. And so besides that, we have a annual powwow that's open to the public that features cultural dances and programming from all across the United States. Mm-hmm. In addition to Kumiai. And then we also have an annual during this summer months, we do what's called a Kumiai Matayum, which is a traditional gathering. And so those are usually, we wouldn't kick people out, but those are kind of considered more for the tribal communities.
Sure.
And they're just great. People are able to gather and camp and just, sing and dance. And of course, there's traditional crafts.
Yeah.
And so then also, a big piece of it is the great relationships that we built. Stan Rodriguez is the executive director of the Kumeyaay Community College. Sycuan has been fundamental in helping form and advance that college. And they've got a lot more work to do. A lot of it comes down to funding, but they have a great relationship currently with Cuyamaca College in Rancho San Diego. And so anybody can go, and you could take Kumeyaay language, Kumeyaay history classes as a part of your education requirements through Cuyamaca for an associate's degree.
Wonderful.
So, and then so with a lot of our own Kumeyaay students, not everybody makes it directly to a 4-year institution from high school, and so the relationships with the community college districts has been vital to bridge that gap and prepare our younger people to advance their higher learning and shoot for that bachelor's degree or master's degree or doctorate, go beyond.
I was surprised to learn from Dr. Rodriguez that there are only about 30 true native speakers in the entire tribe.
Fluent speakers. And then there's a little bit more of a complication because the Kumeyaay language has 3 dialects from the north to the south. And so I found it, I've taken language classes and I'm not fluent. It's difficult, but I've been able to get some basic hellos and various other phrases down. It's a challenging language, but it can be done. And so we're doing what we can. And I think they've seen a lot more success with the true immersion, for when they go for a week off site or somewhere and speak nothing but the language.
Yeah. And one of my careers in my interesting life is I owned an export trading company and had offices in 14 countries around the world. And so I was constantly, going to, all of these unique, different, exotic places in the world. And the big joke among my friends and my family was that I could point in about 50 languages. So
that's awesome. That's good.
So that's my extent of language expertise. Not true. I can manage in a couple of languages, but that it's so good what you're doing. And again, and I said this the other day when you graciously gave my foundation a check, was that you and I had to have this difficult conversation about human trafficking as it relates to not just Indian nations and casinos and hotels, but it's throughout the world. I mean, it's the second largest crime in the world next to drugs. And it's fast becoming even more relevant than drug trafficking because, if I'm a drug trafficker, I sell you the drugs and the drugs are gone. But if I'm a human trafficker, either for sex or labor, I have a renewable resource that, I get to have raped, 10, 20 times a day, depending on that woman or man's quota. So you're very brave to allow us to come on to your casino, the hotel, and to help train your employees to learn about the signs about human trafficking. And quite honestly, that's the way that this scourge, this criminality is going to get ended. is by awareness. And so, once again, you were a leader in terms of the county. And because of that, we've been out to Hamul, we've been out to Valley View. We were just recently invited to Pala, so we're being invited into the homes of your tribes throughout, or bands, excuse me, throughout the county to help promote this human trafficking awareness training, which is pivotal to ending it. So once again, thank you so much for your bravery.
No, you're welcome. And from our viewpoint, it's a great investment because, like you said, we got to continue to educate our team members and others. We have a beautiful property, and it's about entertainment. We want people to have a good time, but they need to be safe. And when you operate a 24-hour business, like the casino business, like ours, there is that element that comes along with that. And so we recognize that. And so we're not going to, bury our heads in the sand. We need to put our resources to where we could try to combat this issue and not act like it doesn't exist. So I want to thank you for, being able to, I think maybe it's just meant to be that we were able to cross paths. And I know Juan Baca and others within our team of operations at the casino very much appreciate the training, the programming, and what they've gotten out of it. And so I think it was a win-win for us.
Well, thank you. I agree. It really was. Plus, I just relish the whole concept of meeting interesting people and then just add them to my, my history. Now, I know Cody Martinez, I know Juan, I know, a number of people from your operation there. They're just delightful, warm, giving, loving people, and it's just a real pleasure. But so many, unfortunately, not necessarily the casinos, but people throughout the world, like you said, they bury their head in the sand, and it's the not in my backyard mentality. And what they fail to realize, just take San Diego County, for instance. So in every single high school in San Diego County, there are documented cases of human trafficking. So that means Rancho Santa Fe, one of the most exclusive, expensive zip codes in the world, to Santee, El Cajon, Encinitas, you name it. Every single high school, has fallen victim to this horrible crime. So getting the word out is a big deal for my foundation, the San Diego Harbor Police. I mean, we do other stuff, with Perkins K-8 school. We've got a lot of initiatives there to help those underprivileged kids, with reading and sports and career pathways and all that good stuff. And of course, we also support our officers, which, that's the umbrella that we operate underneath, is the Port of San Diego Harbor Police. And, these are amazing men and women who are out there. They're the daily heroes, just like you are for your band. You're the guy that's leading the charge to make this progressive change, be it community involvement or growing, the net profit of your organization, which then, that in tune gets distributed out throughout your tribe. It gets distributed out through the community with your generosity. So, it all ties together.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And, I kind of human trafficking, homelessness, whatever it may be, when I mentioned earlier that I was driving downtown and, to see all the tents in the rain, that's everybody's problem. It's not, just, and because there is, the issue in East County as well. But I mean, just like human trafficking and other things, we've got to work together to protect our community. Yeah. And so because, my reservation, it's surrounded by the greater society. And so we have to be able to do things on and off the reservation. And really, when it comes to doing great efforts like what you're doing, there's no border when it comes to those.
Well spoken. It does work too. Quite honestly, we did a training at Hamul, and we trained just like we did at your facility. We did 2 different trainings so we could capture most of the shifts. And so we were out at Hamul, and then we concluded our training. And then the next day, I got a phone call from one of the managers out there that said, "I think my daughter is being groomed to be trafficked." And I said, "So how'd this come about? Why do you think that?" And she goes, "Well, when I went home that evening after your amazing training, I told my family all about it. And then my daughter came to me later, and she's 14 years old. And she said, 'I think I'm being groomed, Mom, because what you told us at dinner tonight, kind of fit this pattern.'" So I had the mother go and do screenshots on her daughter's phone and her computer, and we reviewed it, and it was certain that she was being groomed. And so we were able to get the profile changed, and kind of put an end to this grooming, because these bastards are so sophisticated. They are just all over the place, and they're essentially, it's all gang managed, but they hire very, very sophisticated IT people, and they groom these young women, mostly women, or young girls. Average age in San Diego used to be 16 years old. Now it's 14. So, uh, they not only are they sophisticated, but they have a whole bag of tricks, and it's a process that takes anywhere from 3 months to a year before all of a sudden this young girl feels like, "Holy crap! I'm entrapped here. I don't know how to get out," or they don't even realize that they're being used the way they are because they're so in love with their trafficker, or they're addicted to drugs, or whatever the hook was to get them in there. So yeah.
It's definitely a reality. It's not just something you'll see on Law and Order or something
No,
like that.
no, and it's nothing like what's in the movies.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are a couple of movies that are coming out in the near future. I don't recall the names right now, but they're more realistically based about how trafficking actually works. It's incredibly incestuous. And surprisingly, a lot of trafficking occurs from within the family. It's familial.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we recently brought a beautiful woman, 34 years old, from North Carolina with her 8-year-old daughter, and she's pregnant by her trafficker. He had just recently knocked out her teeth and tried to run her over and kill her with his car. And so she managed to escape from that, and we brought her here from North Carolina. And while in this process, this what re reinstituting what it's like to be a normal person, which often takes 3, 5, 6, 7 years, sometimes never. She realized that she had been trafficked mostly by her grandmother, and that her brother had been raping her since she was 5 years old. So it's just, yeah, it's a despicable crime.
Well, I definitely appreciate what you've been doing, and through the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation, and with this, in regards to Sycuan's interactions with your program, it's definitely been beneficial for us. So we'll be able to continue to combat any element of trafficking within our organization.
Well, thank you so much, Cody. I appreciate your spending time with me today. It's been delightful as always. I'm so impressed with the work that you're doing out there and what you've done to grow your band to where it is today. And as a result of that, your outreach in the community is profound. And I want to thank my sponsors, San Diego Harbor Police Foundation, for allowing me to do this show so I can bring really cool people like Cody Martinez on. Congratulations again on your chairmanship for another 4 years. And
Thank you.
I look forward to spending more time with you and continue our work together.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I had a pleasure being on your show today, talking about such a very important issue. And I look forward to working with you and supporting your mission, in the future. And so continue to keep doing what you're doing. And you're working with a great production team in Sarah and Brett. So you got a good team, got a good heart, good mission. And so I think you can't go wrong when you put all of those things first.
Thank you so much, Cody.